pretty much like all of the possible symptoms they listed for the day or two after getting the shot I have experienced in the last like 15 hours. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brianna and let's just jump straight into the video. I'm going to be sharing my experience getting the Johnson & Johnson single dose vaccine for the C word. Not sure if I'm allowed to say it here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't really have any talking points. I'm just going to go from the start to the end, share what it was like getting it and the symptoms that I've been experiencing. Before we get into the video, disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. I am not trying to give medical advice whatsoever. This is just my personal experience getting the vaccination and the symptoms that I've experienced. Okay, so I am a teacher. If you guys are new, I'm a 9th grade English teacher, so I have been trying to sign up for the vaccination for a couple of months now. I have to teach in person, I have students coming, and I just made the decision that I wanted to get the vaccine. Now, I know people have different opinions on getting it and all that stuff, but for me personally, I just wanted to get the vaccine, which is saying a lot because if you know me, you know that I just passionately hate shots, vaccinations, needles, all that stuff, and so I made the decision that I wanted to try to get this vaccination. I signed up for my county's like COVID site and it just wasn't moving anywhere because I don't have any underlying health conditions. I am young and it just wasn't going to be moving as quickly as I wanted. So like I mentioned, I'm a teacher and actually my school district partnered with the local fire department like EMS, firefighters, other people, and they were able to provide a day where all employees of my entire school district were able to get a free COVID vaccination. So this included teachers, receptionists, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, everyone who worked in the school district in all these different departments and places from elementary all the way through high school was able to go on this specified day based on their last name. So there were different time slots to go get the vaccination. So the vaccination that we were being offered was the single dose Johnson & Johnson, and if you aren't too familiar, just a quick rundown, there are 3 different types of vaccinations. The most common ones that people have been getting are the Pfizer and Moderna. Those ones require 2 different shots, and so you get your first shot and I believe about 2 to 4 weeks later you get your second shot. However, Johnson & Johnson, you only need 1 shot and then you are completely vaccinated. You don't need to go back for a second shot. Now, I was a bit skeptical because all that I've seen and heard from people that I know at school who've gotten it, like older teachers and on the news and stuff, were that most people were getting the 2-dose Pfizer or Moderna, and as far as I knew, I didn't see much information about the Johnson & Johnson vaccination and like what the what the side effects would be after getting that. And so I was skeptical, but I did a bit of research and decided to just go ahead and get it because like I mentioned, I work at a school and just felt like I need to get this vaccine. Also, another factor is that since I hate getting shots, if I could just knock this out with 1 shot instead of having to get 2, I was all for that option. So today is Tuesday, March 9th, and I got my vaccine yesterday, Monday, March 8th. So the process was actually pretty smooth, and so the area that I got my vaccine was around the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium and the Texas Rangers baseball stadium, and so my school district gave us a location to go and park our cars, and then we were able to get on the bus with other employees and go to the location and get our vaccinations. My school district is very big. I don't know how many employees we have, but I will look it up and include a number somewhere on the screen. So there was a very streamlined process in order to effectively get as many people who wanted to get the vaccine as possible. So even though we work in schools, we were not required. I don't think they can tell us we have to get the vaccine. I have coworkers who chose to get it and those who chose not to. So it was completely up to us on whether or not we wanted to get it. So yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous, and so I went to the site and I had to fill out a quick survey just asking basic questions like, are you pregnant, breastfeeding, do you have any allergic reactions, just those basic health questions that they always ask before any vaccination, like a flu shot or anything like that. After that, we got on the bus and rode to the location, and we basically just had to get our temperatures checked. We checked in, and then it was time to go get our COVID shot. So the person and most of the people there who were giving us the shots were local firefighters, EMS, and even some nurses from the different schools in the district. The person who gave me my shot, I believe he was the sergeant of the firefighters, but he was a firefighter. So once I got to this station to get my shot, and let me just say, to me, it was just very eerie, the whole setup of where we were getting our shots. So the building we were in was kind of like a really open warehouse. I believe it belonged to either the AT&T Stadium or the Texas Rangers. It was a huge open warehouse, and there were just dozens of tables, like stations set up with the EMS or the firefighter, whoever was giving the vaccination. And on the other side were just like dozens of rows of socially distanced chairs for after the shot, which I'll explain later. So the whole situation just felt like we were in some like dystopian movie. I don't know why I keep thinking of World War Z. Just like, it just felt weird the way the setup was. But it was super quick. There was pretty much no wait. I went and got my shot, and they asked me like which arm to get it in. I chose my left arm because my dominant is my right, and it was very quick and easy. It felt like any other shot. Again, just one dose, and then after that they just quickly walked through some symptoms, and they also gave me a fact sheet just with more information about the Johnson & Johnson vaccination. After that, I got a vaccination card, and I had to go sit in a waiting area for 15 minutes. So the reason for this was to make sure that you didn't have an allergic reaction before you left the site. So on the other half of this giant warehouse, there were just like dozens of chairs spaced out, and you would just go over there and sit, and on your own time just keep track of your 15 minutes. After that, you were good to go and get back on the bus to go back to your car. While I was there, I did not see a single person have an allergic reaction. I felt fine. I think most of it was just mental, because it's kind of scary when you get your vaccine and then afterwards they kind of like run through all these symptoms, and you have to sit there and wait to see if you're going to react. The immediate thing I felt was just the typical arm soreness you get after getting any type of shot. But I think mentally I just felt kind of scared, because I mean, you hear so many things about these terrible reactions, and of course Johnson & Johnson, that company, has had its own situation. But yeah, I was fine after, got back on the bus and went back. The other thing that did scare me is once we got back on the bus going back to our cars, there was a firefighter who, before we got off the bus, asked all of us, are any of you experiencing any of these unusual symptoms? And he kind of listed off like pain stronger than just a normal thing. I think he said dizziness, shortness of breath, just a couple of different things. He was like, if you are, tell me right now. You do not need to go home. Nobody on my bus had anything, so after that we were free to go home. And they also gave us free Texas Rangers hats. I don't know if it's because we were like teachers or school workers, or just because of the location we were doing it at. So I got my vaccine around 1:30 p.m. and after that I went home. I, for that entire day, didn't really feel any symptoms. My arm, of course, was very sore, just like a normal shot. I did feel kind of tired, but I didn't get a lot of sleep over the weekend, so I'm not sure if that was a direct symptom. I took a nap, but other than that, the entire day yesterday was perfectly fine and I felt no symptoms. Now, let's talk about these symptoms I did have, because pretty much like all of the possible symptoms they listed for the day or two after getting the shot, I have experienced in the last like 15 hours. So last night I went to bed around 10, and I want to say it was around 11 p.m. midnight where everything just went downhill from there. Let me just go symptom by symptom. So the first thing I remember is waking up and having extreme like muscle soreness, and so my arm was like way more sore than it was before. I remember like my hip was aching and my back. I remember a specific throbbing in my back, so that muscle pain throughout the night was pretty bad, and I kept like tossing and turning. It was definitely very uncomfortable. The next thing that I remember is getting chills. So naturally, I'm always pretty cold, and so I typically always do sleep with like a comforter, a sheet, 2-3 blankets. I have my AC, my heat turned up pretty high, and I actually was already sleeping in a hoodie and pants. But I remember waking up like frequently throughout the night and having chills so bad that I had to get up. I turned up my heat a couple of degrees, and I actually put some socks on to keep my feet warm because I was like physically shivering and had chills. So that wasn't fun. And then the other symptom that I experienced throughout the night, so I did not get a good night's sleep. Every single hour, multiple times, I was waking up and tossing and turning, and it was just not fun at all. The other thing I experienced was a headache. So I just had the worst headache throughout the entire night, which also made it difficult to sleep. But again, these are all normal side effects once you get the vaccine. After a day or two, they are supposed to go away. So throughout the night, that pretty much continued. Once I woke up, I still felt pretty achy and I still had a headache, but the chills had kind of died down. I chugged like 2 or 3 glasses of water this morning before going to work. I ate some breakfast, which usually I don't do, but I kind of just felt like not 100%, so I thought that it would be good to get some food in my stomach. And I also took a leave to kind of die the headache down. So after that, I honestly felt pretty fine. I go into work around 7 a.m. and so I went into work feeling perfectly fine after that super restless night. However, when I got to work, so I went from having chills throughout the night. Once I got into work around like 7:30, 8 a.m., I started sweating. And so this is what I wore to work, a tank top with a sweater on over. And I am usually so cold. Like I usually will double up on jackets at school because I get so cold in those classrooms. I was sweating. Like my face was sweating, just everything was sweating, but I couldn't take off my sweater because I'm wearing a tank top and that's not really teacher appropriate. So I went from having chills to having sweats. Now another side effect is getting like a low-grade fever. I did not check my temperature, but I kind of felt like maybe I had a slight fever. That is totally normal after getting the vaccine. However, the people at the vaccine station told us that if you have a fever over 102, then you need to go to the emergency room or go seek a medical professional. But like a low-grade fever, like a couple degrees, is normal. Your body's reaction to that, I believe, is a good thing that it's taking in the vaccine. Also, this vaccine isn't the kind where they actually give you part of the disease. So I didn't actually get injected with COVID. It's made a different way, which if you're curious, I can like link some articles down below. Okay, so after my achy body, my headache, my chills, my sweats, after that, the rest of the day until the end, I pretty much felt okay, you know, just a little bit tired, sore, stuff like that. I honestly thought that I was being dramatic, but I was talking to another teacher who also got the vaccine yesterday, and he experienced like everything I did but worse. So he still felt sick throughout the day, and I thought I was being dramatic, but I think it's pretty common for people to experience that after. But like I mentioned, I didn't really hear a lot about people who had gotten this single dose vaccine. People I knew who got the Pfizer or Moderna, the 2-dose, typically from what I've heard, after the first dose you feel fine, but after the second dose is when you'll feel some of these sick-like symptoms. Okay, so the last thing that I experienced towards the end of my school day around like 2 p.m. I started getting kind of nauseous again and really out of breath. So honestly, the only symptom I still feel is I kind of do feel out of breath, and I have to talk a lot because I'm a teacher. And so I made it through my first 2 class periods feeling pretty good, pretty okay. And by the time I got to my third one, guys, I was like talking in the very beginning on my Zoom meetings, and I was just literally like I felt out of breath and kind of had to pause and just talk slower. Right now it is like 4 p.m. So it's been over 24 hours since my shot, and the only symptom I still feel is kind of that out of breathness. So overall, I think that my side effects were normal according to like what they told me in my other research, but hopefully after today I will feel fine tomorrow. Overall, experiencing a couple hours of side effects is definitely worth being vaccinated. So a couple of other things about the one that I got, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Let me look at my fact sheet. Okay, so I can't find the exact thing, but I remember they told me after about 45 days, this vaccine is 85% effective in preventing the most severe form of COVID. The other two vaccines that you get in 2 doses, Pfizer and Moderna, I believe are 95% effective. So yes, the 1-dose one is 10% less effective, but I went from having 0% protection to 85%, which are odds that I'm willing to take. I think your reaction and side effects post-vaccine definitely depend on your age, if you have any underlying health conditions, maybe your fitness or activity level, and so just a bunch of different factors. But yeah, I thought I would just share this because I feel like there's not a lot of first-hand experiences from getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. If you guys have any questions, comment down below, but I am very thankful that I was able to get this vaccination. I know that there are lots of people who have been trying to get it and aren't able to get it, but yeah, that was my experience getting the single-dose vaccine. As of right now, I feel fine. My arm is a bit sore, but I'm probably going to go on a walk or a run later, and hopefully I will not die from being out of breath. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye y'all.